Ron, why you have been doing this for 42 years? Why do you still do this?
What would you have me do? Retire? I'm retired now. Flipping houses and just cashing out of them is probably the worst thing you can do. The longer you own a house, the more money you're going to make. But on the other hand, a lot of people come into this business, they need that check like they need oxygen. And so did I when I started.
All right. Hello, everyone. This is Jack Bosch with the Jack Bosch Show. And today I am pleased to have a legend here with me. As a matter of fact, I have a very personal story about that is because our guest is Mr. Ron LeGrand. So if you've never heard of Ron LeGrand, you missed out because Ron has been in the business for many, many, many years, even a few decades. And back in 1999, when Michelle and I started looking to get into real estate, we saw his infomercial on television in the middle of the night, and we had a land deal under contract in California, Northern California. Was a deal worth about $150,000. We got under contract for $70,000. We had not the first clue what to do with him, with that deal. We had no documentation, no paperwork for it. And so we realized that we needed something, and Ron's infomercial talked about, hey, you get my documents and I get my stuff. We went just fast ordered that thing over the phone, got it delivered literally the day before we were supposed to meet with the seller to lock down that deal, and used this paperwork to lock down our very first deal in real estate ever. Then we turned around and wholesaled that piece of land for $104,000, and after closing costs, we made $32,000 on that deal. That was the very first land deal we've ever done. Since then, we have developed our own method. We have done over 4,500 deals, but it all goes back to that one, and you'll never forget that. So thank you, Ron, for that. And with that, I want to introduce Ron LeGrand.
Now, Jack, I've never heard you tell that story in all the years that I've known you. So did you send me a check after you did the deal, or?
I did not send you a check after the deal, but shortly afterwards, a letter.
It's not too late.
It's not too late. Well, so I've spoken at your events, and there's some nice checks that you made from that when people bought our courses and things like that. But no, I still owe you at least a very good dinner for that. I will always do that. So here's the thing, though. A few months afterward, after we were well on our way and developed our own method and so on, we got a letter from your company saying like, hey, we're writing a book and we're putting some testimonials in there. And we wrote up that story and it made it into your book at that time. So I still have a copy of the book, and it's like page 49 or 51. There's young Jack and young Michelle, 24 years earlier there with our picture and the story of that deal.
And that was a young Ron on the cover too, right?
That's right. That's right. We're all like 24 years younger than we are now. Hey, so with that said, Ron, tell us a little bit about you for those that for the few of those out there that haven't heard about you yet.
Actually, this is the beginning of the 42nd year I've been in the business. So wow. I go back way beyond even 1999 when we met. But I tell you, it was when I started in 1982. People complain about the interest rates today. The rates then were 16.8% in 1982 when I started. Realtors were dropping like flies. They couldn't sell houses to save their soul. And yet I did 23 deals my first 6 months in business. And I had a partner because I didn't know then that you don't need to have money to do this business. So I've been cranking them out ever since, Jack, to this very day. In fact, I bought 2 houses last week, in case some people think this old guy still don't do this stuff, and still do it. I don't know, surpassed well over 3,000 deals 15 years ago, as far back as I can remember. So, wow. Been teaching, I started teaching about 7 years in. People kept asking me, how are you doing this? How are you doing this? And same answer. So I decided, well, why don't I just start putting something on tape, and then I won't have to answer all those questions. And sure enough, it worked. So we have a company here called Global Publishing, in which, you speak back. We're doing a commercial boot camp this week, and you'll be at it. And you've been at quite a few of them ever since, because you're a real success story out there from somebody who actually took action, not just sat in the class and went home and went back to doing whatever they do in life and wishing they could accomplish something.
Exactly right. So since then, just for everyone listening, Ron, if you ever go into sometimes there's industry conventions, and when you walk into the room, there's let's say 200 coaches, real estate coaches that are in that room. And if you ask them who got their beginning one way or the other through Ron LeGrand, literally half the room gets up. So this is like the caliber of person we have here on our show today. So Ron, let's jump into obviously you started as, I think, a car mechanic, and then you went into real estate, and then you started teaching and you flipped deals, and you've done how many did you say, 15,000 or something?
No. I've only done about, I don't know, Jack. I quit counting 15 years ago at 3,000. I don't know. I mean, I don't even care anymore.
Probably many more, but
on residential and commercial.
Yeah. So you do commercial, you do building, you do residential. What are you most excited about right now? Let's jump right into that.
I am excited because we're going into a recessionary period, and that is going to change things for real estate investors. We have to adapt with the times, as I've done for the last 41 years. And there's never been a year I couldn't buy houses. And going forward, what's going to change is sellers are going to get more motivated, and buyers are going to be less of them can qualify for a loan, especially with the rising interest rates and the inflationary time we're in. So I put tenant buyers in houses that don't need to qualify for a loan, and I get great big deposits from them in the thousands, not in the hundreds, and they take on responsibility for any repairs. So in my world, I thinking back, I might even started that quick flip thing. I don't even remember anymore, but flipping houses and just cashing out of them is probably the worst thing you can do. The longer you own a house, the more money you're going to make. But on the other hand, a lot of people come into this business, they need that check like they need oxygen. And so did I when I started. So I want people to start working on building a business that will provide the cash flow for today, the big checks up front, but also the wealth throughout the back end that all the flippers out there give up. Short-term capital gains, you just get quite a few of those checks without hardly doing the work that some people think that's involved in real estate. So I've done it. In fact, the last 3 deals I've done, I wholesaled houses, made about $120,000 on 3 low-end junker houses, not even touching them. But I'm an advocate of keeping the property and putting lease option tenant buyers in there. And it's very simple. When I buy on cash, I sell for cash. When I buy on terms, I sell for terms. And terms are my specialty, which is about 75% of my business, actually.
Good. Right. And the terms are perfect for that. And I think the message here is like, there's not one method that you just need to you need to stick to. Now, the times and circumstances change. Like the land flipping is a little bit of an exception because what we have done has worked for the last 23 years. Yeah. But even here, in the times right now, we do much more seller financing, because when people have a little bit less money or they have a fear of running out of money, they still want land, but they want it seller finance. They want to pay in monthly payments so that they can hold on to some of their cash. But as soon as the economy goes up, they pay those off, right? And in the boom times, it's a lot more cash deals. So even there, you switch between seller financing, cash deals, and so on, and or development deals and just wholesale deals. So within land, there's multiple strategies. And you're saying within houses, it's the exact same thing.
Residential, commercial, land, same thing. And frankly, what you're doing is generating residual income on those payments that you're collecting. Nothing wrong with that. It comes in whether you get out of bed in the morning or not. Plus, it's long-term capital gains when it comes to paying taxes on it, and that's spread out over years. So I get it, man. I've done land of all kinds. By the way, I've developed projects, which I know you don't do, but and I flipped land like you do. But I love that residual income.
Yeah, that's great. So in today's world, with interest rates at 8%, let's say, pick a number, right? It's different every week, it seems. With interest rates at 8%, not the 16% back then, but you find that you find that the lease purchase options or the lease option are the best way to go. And why is that?
Well, when I buy on terms, I don't use any money, and I certainly never use credit. That's the biggest mistake people can make in the business. So therefore, I don't have to go borrow money. The terms come. So either I'm taking over the seller's debt or the seller financing me on their house, just like I do on land. But then if I'm buying on terms, I'm going to put a tenant buyer in the house and let them pay me for a lot of years. Let them give me thousands of dollars up front. and I get the big upfront check, which the minimum my check I'm going to take on a house is $20,000 up front. It goes toward their purchase price, goes toward their down payment. But if they move, they don't get it back. And then I get the monthly cash flow, I get pay down, I get the appreciation, I get the depreciation, and all the benefits of owning the real estate without having to do anything except collect rent and make the underlying payment. So I try to turn them all into long-term.
Yeah, because those deals that you do there for right now, they're lease options right? Not lease purchase agreements, lease options, correct?
Same thing. It's the same thing.
Well, technically it's not, because of the lease purchase agreement. You technically is. You still maintain ownership. Jack. Yeah, you still maintain ownership. Yeah. You still maintain ownership. That's the key. That's why you get depreciation and appreciation.
That is correct. Yeah. That is correct. Yeah. And it's easier to evict in most places than it is to foreclose. I can't remember the last time I've had a default. When you got 20,000, 30,000 somebody's money and if they don't pay the rent, they lose it. They tend to pay the rent.
That's it. That is right, especially with the down payments that high. So, but now, why would you say? Why do you say right now is the time for that method? Is it because people are basically running out of money, losing their jobs, and can't pay their mortgages anymore, or is this versus?
I started in 1982 in a completely different world, and I discovered very quickly, I don't care what market we're in, people always want to sell and other people always want to buy. And it's going to be that way longer than you and I are on this earth. And it was that way long before we got into this business. So the business is so stable because of the American dream of home ownership. People are always going to want to buy. I try to make it as easy for them to buy as possible. Therefore, they're if I want to sell them. But here's the truth. About 90% of the people that I lease option houses to don't buy. They move sometime later, and I'm fine with that. In fact, I prefer it that way because I hate to kill these golden goose that I've created. So when the times get tough, sellers get more motivated. It's that simple. And of course, you mentioned it. You got these interest rates and this inflationary. By the way, this is so-called, I got it, whatever, 8-point-something% now. What a joke. You show me one thing that you buy that hasn't increased at least 25% in the last year and a half. I don't know where to get this false number from. So that, it's putting a hurt on people. So a lot of them can't qualify for a loan. Now with the interest rates on top of that, it's all ours. The seller's market is all ours. The buyer's market is all ours. And it's been that way. I've been through 6 of these cycles so far, and it's always been that way. Biggest one was after 2008. And what most people don't see is that when chaos hits the marketplace, it's time to run toward the chaos as long as you've eliminated your risk, which I teach my folks to do. We don't go to the bank and borrow money and personally guarantee debt. And if we use money maybe for closing costs or down payment to buy something, we're going to get that money back with a nice profit within the first 30 days by installing a tenant buyer in the house. I buy on terms and I sell on terms. That's actually not true because I don't sell, I lease option. Every once in a while, somebody buys one.
Right. That's a key statement here, guys. I keep repeating that myself. Is like when you see, and it drives me crazy when I see that when the market is turning, right, and the prices are going down, people are like lemmings, run away from real estate. Yeah. When in reality, that's when you need to get into real estate because that's when America is for sale. That's when you can get the deals. But you got to have some knowledge for it. You got to understand how these things work. You got to have the education for it. So it drives me crazy when times are good and prices are going up. Everyone jumps into real estate, and then it's the hardest to get deals done. Right? Because
I've been buying in all the markets. I continue buying. Who the president, what the interest rates are, what the inflation is. People always need to sell.
That's right. They always need to sell, and then if you have enough tools in your belt, you can do that. Now, Ron, why you have been doing this for 42 years? Why do you still do this?
What would you have me do? Retire? I'm retired now. All I do is teach. The company is running without me. I don't show up for work. So, I still like to teach, Jack, to be honest with you. If I didn't, I wouldn't be doing it. But I got some classic cars that I play around with here in my workshop at my home. And I don't fly hardly anymore, though. I tell you, I got an airplane and I put it on the market, and within 3 days we had a contract on it. It'll probably close this month because I don't even hardly need it anymore. But we still do live events, but not more than 3 or 4 a year. That means where people are in a hotel room. The rest of the stuff we do is mostly virtual. And I mean, it's working out okay. COVID taught us all a lesson. COVID taught us we could survive without doing the live. But I enjoy doing the live events. I'd much rather have a room full of people that I can communicate with than sit in front of this screen right now. I can't even tell jokes and get anybody laughing at them when I'm doing this virtual. I can't even see the people,
Right. No, and I asked that question because I kind of knew the answer. Because people ask me that question all the time, and they have been asking me that question. We're teaching this for 15 years already. So 15 years ago, I was like, what was I? 37 years old or so. And they're asking like, why do you teach this? It's like, what do you want me to do otherwise? Want me to sit on a beach and become an alcoholic and drink margaritas all day long? I mean, you gotta do something with your life. And I'm of the opinion you got to do the thing that makes the biggest impact. And
people go through their life thinking that retirement is the station where they want to get to, and then when they retire, they figure out, oh crap, I got nothing to do. And they realize that work is what they were living for. Right. Work is what makes us go. Guys like us, we get up in the morning, we want to do something, and that involves some kind of work. Okay, look, I don't break out a sweat anymore. Those days are long gone. But I'm always working. I'm working before we got on here. I'll be working after we got on here. But it's sitting on my butt in my home office working kind of work.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Always try to keep everyone needs something to look forward to, and for me, that ain't the thing that compels a lot of people. Traveling, you kidding me? I've been traveling all my life. I got 2.5 million miles on Delta alone, and that's before I bought a plane, and that don't count all the other carriers. We'll do some traveling. I'll do a cruise. I usually go to Alaska once a year, but that's not what I just want to get it over with. To be honest with you, I've been married to the same woman for 57 years, and when you've been married to somebody that long, you learn to do what you're told. So we're going to take a trip. But you don't think I'm going to go without taking my briefcase with me, do you?
No, of course not. I mean, I have my backpack with me all the time. Then my backpack is my laptop, is my tripod, is my things. I like it goes where I go. It's right here,
you got it. That's the way us entrepreneurs work. We got to be doing something. Boredom kills me.
Right, absolutely. So, guys, listen to that. Like, retirement is not the goal. Retirement is the ability financially to be in a position to retire if you have to and take times off for health reasons or whatever it is, or take care of loved ones. That's the goal. But retirement itself is it's like a sentence. It's a nightmare to me. I don't ever want to retire. I always want to do something. I always want to be involved in something, because if you don't use it, you lose it, right? To the one up there. So, I see that with my own parents. My dad is a retired high school teacher. And for the 10 years after retired, he mentally went downhill until we literally sat him down. It's like, Dad, go get involved in the community again. Go do some stuff here. And he listened to us. Luckily, he does now city tours. He does studies. He's like an intellectual in a way. And he's does presentations and stuff and does research and stuff. And he came right back. So now he has something to do instead of just sitting at home through a cold German winter and watching TV. So
he found something to keep him mentally busy. And he found something that motivates him to get out of bed in the morning. And everybody needs it, regardless of what it's something.
Exactly right. Now, Ron, based on all your experience you have right now and where we are in the market right now, where we are in the economy right now, where we are with technology and AI and all this kind of things right now, what are you most worried about right now?
When I was younger, I worried about all this crap, most of which never even happened. And then, we have a lot of less stuff happened in my life. Don't get me wrong, but we just keep on plowing through it. I worry about this country, the way it's going. Not a whole lot I can do about it except vote. I worry sometimes about all of the people that we teach that refuse to latch on to the information and go implement it. And I both know that education is totally worthless without implementation. And we work our butts off to try to get the people to implement. Some of them, you just can't help some people. They're not turnable as far as I'm concerned. So, kind of try to focus on the people that actually will get going and have, enough motivation to make something work, whatever that something is. In your case, land, you got a really good system on flipping land. But I'm talking to your audience and I'm telling them you better have something else going on in your life other than flipping land, because you need some assets that are building wealth. While you're making your income flipping land, you need something that produces income so that when you get a little bit, few more years on you, you don't have to do anything. And it's all about that residual income. Got to get that money coming in when you can't work or won't work or when you're dead, whatever. And that comes from residual.
And what is your path to the residual? Is that mainly the lease options, the lease purchase agreements, or you also then put money into other kind of things?
It can be commercial income producing properties, or it certainly can be houses and multifamily and so forth. And I don't care, any or all of it. It's fine with me. I have it all. And,
so do I.
I'm always looking for another income stream and never have enough of them. And every time you buy a property that produces income, you just added an income stream. And especially when you learn how to buy them without using your money or credit, and eliminating risk, and not having your credit report and your financial statement all screwed up in case you ever do want to go borrow money for something you think is worth the risk. And we can do that. We can do that. We can do that in real estate. You're doing that in real estate. You're taking a little chunk of the market and become good at it. And, that's why I want you talking to our people about what you do as it applies to producing income. And never anybody that didn't need more income. So that's who we teach. That's who we help.
Good. Yeah. So we take. Yeah. I mean, I agree 100%. So we do the same thing. We use our land flipping as our cash machine. But a cash machine, if you stop doing it, the money stops coming in. So it's a fantastic solution, in our opinion, one of the best out there. Obviously, I would say the best, obviously, since I'm doing it and teaching it, the best way out there to generate cash, and alongside with yours and all these real estate methods there work fantastically if you put them to work. Yeah. But the moment you stop. Those flippers that just flip, it's active income. So what we've done is we have taken every dime off the table multiple times a year and put it into, in our case, multifamily and commercial. So we own almost 1,000 apartment complexes, 1,000 apartment units in apartment complexes. We own a bunch of houses and things like that, because that's then the end game at the end of the day. So, it's the same thing. We personally don't do the lease purchase agreements, but that's your specialty. That's why you're on the show, to really show us, hey, this is another way you can do that. Now, how do you manage these properties? Do you manage them in-house, or you manage them with a third-party management company?
Jack, no way I want to pay a third-party manager company to screw it up. Look, all we do is collect rent and make payments. People that have got $20, $30, $40, $50,000 on the table pay their rent, Jack. And if they don't, they'll call and say, we're going to have to move. Okay, well, when will you be out? Then I'll go out and do it again and collect another $20, $30, $40,000 again and again and again and again, cash flowing the whole time. And, I got 2 units right now that I've had, one 6 times. They've moved out on me, and I've had to re-rent. I got one empty right now that I'll be doing for the 7th time. So I like what you're doing. You're a good example of turning cash into cash flow and long-term wealth, and increasing your cash flow. But again, I don't care what kind of an income-producing property it is. What you do is so close to wholesaling houses, there's no reason why everybody can't be doing them both at the same time, and should
Absolutely.
Be for that matter. Yeah.
And most of the wholesalers tell me that actually their largest deals often come from a land piece that they got, and like that they got a house with an extra lot next door. They split it off and sold the land, and they made actually more money on the land sale than they made on the house wholesale. So there's definitely space for both of it. I always tell people, pick one, learn it, and then expand to the next one. Because if you learn too many things at the same time, it just can become overwhelming. So become the master of many is the master of none, or something like that. So just pick one, become really good at it, and then expand from it. And whether you pick land or you pick houses, it's your personal preference.
You don't
It's
have to
just
pick either
simply.
one in those cases because the process is exactly the same. Okay.
That's right.
You just got to target your marketing to land, simultaneously target your marketing to the lower price properties, and do them both exactly the same. There's nothing to it, actually. I mean, I jokingly tell people sometimes that a sixth grade brain dead idiot could wholesale a house. Because put it under contract, flip contract. How hard is this? But
Yeah.
you're right.
Well, let's actually talk about that because actually that's a great statement that I actually agree with. But I find it fascinating that how many people are still not able to do it or need tremendous amount of help, which obviously you offer coaching, we offer coaching where we take them through it, where really 70% of the work in coaching is psychological help, is getting people through their own mental hurdles. Because the steps are simple. The steps, you can summarize your steps in 30 seconds. I can summarize my steps in 30 seconds. Yet we have many, many people that take a year's worth of coaching, and it's worth the year's worth of coaching. They're raving fans about it because both you and I, we teach them not just how to flip deals, but also how to make a business out of it. That's a lot of what we do. But it's that what we call the itty bitty shitty committee between your 2 ears that just keeps screwing you up. What's your take on that?
Same thing. Our biggest problem is changing people's thinking about real estate, not teaching them real estate, and overcoming all of the problems they bring to the table, especially if they've been around a while and they've not been a success and they've had some failures in their life. All those things they bring in, we try to work with them. And it really comes down to, I think it starts with low self-esteem, to be honest with you, because of past. So we tell them the only way you can fix that is one small success at a time, meaning one check at a time. And pretty soon that'll go away. I know I had the same thing when I started. I started getting checks and all that crap I was worried about. Didn't think about it anymore. Didn't care anymore. So that I know, the more money you make, the less you care about what other people say. I can tell you that for sure. But you got to, we can talk till we're blue in the face. We can stand on the chair and we can, shout to ourselves and listen to Tony Robbins tapes. None of that's going to work if we don't start getting checks coming in. Yeah, motivation lasts about 20 minutes. So once you get those coming in, we got you, because now you can't tell us anymore that it won't work for you. People know it works. They just don't think it works for them, or don't think it works now, or don't think it works where they live. There is not one city in the United States of America where people aren't selling houses and buying houses. And if there is, don't work there. Okay, go elsewhere. So that's what we got. We got a product that's never going to go out of style.
That's exactly right. I couldn't agree with you more. It's like it's getting them, what we call them, to micro successes. Like if you get that, like the little success, and it's not even a check right away. It's like, hey, I'm going to tell you, you do this and this is going to happen. You do this, and if that what you told them is going to happen, they're like, oh my God, it actually happened. Checkbox, right? The next checkbox. And then their confidence over time goes up. Confidence is the currency of business. You look at what's the difference between a 19-year-old that owns $1 billion worth of stuff and a 50-year-old that owns nothing, and both have the same background. Is the 19-year-old is not this younger. At that age is young. The age is actually handicapped because everyone looks at them. Well, you young kid, what do you want? It's the confidence. Yeah. Like if you build that confidence, whichever way you have to, that's the key. You work on your confidence. You don't let your confidence, you protect your confidence. You don't let your confidence be stolen by anyone. And as long as you do that, you will succeed in life, because with confidence comes success.
Yep. 19-year-old just hadn't been around long enough, been beat up enough to where he has a self-esteem problem. That's all.
That is true. That is true. Yeah. In my case, I always thought I was too young. I was like, oh man, I'm too young to do this. I'm too young. Look at that thing. Yeah. And all of a sudden I was like, crap, I'm too old. All of a sudden, like there's no right time to do anything. You either feel too young, or all of a sudden there's like all these youngsters are doing this stuff. And I'm the old guy in the room, and I'm only 53. But I was like, I realized that very quickly that get that thing of like, I'm too young or I'm too old out of the picture. You just got to do the steps.
I didn't have the too young problem. I started when I was 35 years old.
Right. Yeah. So you were right on time.
My first check was $3,000, but that was in 1982. That was a lot of money back then.
That's right. That's right.
I needed it, boy. I needed it.
So what do you see? What do you see happening in the market right now going forward? What do you crystal ball from 6 different recessions and things tell you what's going to come?
All right. Well, first of all, whatever I tell you is worthless because nobody knows, but they all got an opinion. I don't listen to any of it because I know they're just making it up. But what I see is, fortunately, we have a housing shortage, which is not going to kill the market like we did in 2008. But unfortunately, we have these high interest rates and this inflation. So that's definitely going to slow it down. So I think it's just going to slow it down to the point where it starts creeping back up. And a lot of that's going to depend on the regime in Washington next couple of years or so. I'm going to make money regardless of what happens. And that's the attitude I want everybody to adopt. Quit watching TV. Quit watching all the news channels, especially the CNNs of the world, and quit watching the gloom and doom. Just go out there and get so busy making money you don't have time to worry about everybody else. Take care of your house and you won't worry about what's going on in the White House. That's
exactly right. Amen to that, man. So with that said, Ron, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, I'm not hard to get a hold of. I'm all over the internet, all over YouTube, my website. In fact, I got a webinar if y'all are interested in actually learning what this terms business is about at ronlegrand.com/terms.
Let's quickly talk about what are the components of money that you make there. You touched on them already, but I just
thousands of dollars up front. I won't take less than down, and usually get close to 10. And I like the houses that are a little above the median price in my area, all the way up to a couple $100,000 higher than that. So I get a big check up front, Jack, and I get the monthly spread because we raise the price on the house when we sell it. We get more from lease option tenant buyers than we do tenants. Sometimes you get $800,000-900,000 a house spread on this house for a long time in the future. And then we get the appreciation, the depreciation, the debt pay down, and forfeited deposits in the future when they move out. There's a lot of benefits to this. So we build wealth. And then when we learn to do this inside of these tax-free retirement accounts, as well as outside, you really grow fast because, a whole lot faster not paying taxes than you do paying tax.
That's exactly right.
And then learn to do the business. And frankly, I'm telling you right now, I got a book called The Less I Do, The More I Make. And it's all about delegating everything. I do that. I don't do anything. I mean, I'm worthless. I don't do anything. Make a decision now and then, and I've learned to even delegate those. So when you get to that point, now you really better have something to do.
Yeah, no, I love that. So let's summarize that. So you get the house from a seller, usually probably with a subject to method, right? So they give you the house. No?
I buy them on a wraparound mortgage, or I give the seller first mortgage. Yeah.
All right, sounds good. So you're taking, let's say, a $300,000 house, and you're buying it from the seller with a mortgage where you pay them monthly, and so then or wraparound mortgage. So you basically they pay they pay, let's say that their mortgage payment is $1,000 a month. You pay them $1,200 a month.
Nope.
And
I almost always only pay the seller the amount of their underlying payment.
Okay, wonderful, good. So they pay $1,000 a month. So you buy it from them, and you basically pay their mortgage payment for them, or usually
directly to their lender.
Directly to their lender. It's not in their hand because otherwise it never arrives at the lender. So so you pay it directly to the lender, and so now basically you have bought the property. And you have an equal loan to what they have with a similar payment. So then you turn around and you go rent that property out to somebody with the option to buy it from you. Yeah. And let's say you take that $300,000 house and you sell it for $350,000 or $400,000, whatever it may be.
$3.25 or so.
$3.25. Okay, so $3.25. But now you charge them rent of $2,000 a month.
Somewhere between $2,000, $1,500, $1,600, whatever.
Okay.
See, I don't tell them what the rent is, Jack. They tell me, because I've learned to ask questions and answer questions with questions.
Okay.
What's the most you can pay per rent if I were to accept you? Is that the best you can do?
Okay, wonderful. So I like those things. So that's good down payment.
Yeah.
All right. So
all in the script.
Okay, so great. There's a script for that. And then, so let's say they pay you $1,600 a month. So you guys can start seeing how now Ron pays $1,000, gets in $1,600 and makes a $600 spread. Right. And at the same time, plus the guy paid him a $10,000 or $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 deposit, which goes towards a future purchase price if they buy it. But if they don't buy it, it is non-refundable.
They forfeit it, closed with an attorney, clearly understood and signed off on.
Right. So now they're making payments for 3 years. And so you got, let's say, $10,000 and then $600 a month, which is $7,200. And let's say there's some repairs that need to be made. How do you deal with them? Do you usually ask them to do that?
All, I ain't doing no deal that I only get $10,000 on. In your example, I'm going to get a minimum of $25,000.
All right. So they're good.
Second, one of the conditions of their option is that they take over the responsibility for all of the repairs the entire time they're in the house.
Okay.
Don't usually do it more than 2 years, but I got to tell you, at the end of 2 years, I do absolutely nothing except keep collecting the rent.
All right.
I got a couple of people in houses right now, been there over 12 years. 12 years, okay? Our option expired 10 years ago, but they still do the repairs and they still make the payments on time. If they want to buy, I'll work it out with them, but they don't. If they don't buy in the first 2 years, they're never going to buy anyway.
Okay.
So basically, I'm just putting the tenants in the house and eliminating my needs for me to do repairs and making sure I've got plenty of their skin in the game up front so I don't have to worry about them. No matter what they do, I'm okay with it. Buy, fine. Move, fine. I'm okay either way because I've learned over my long tenure to put myself in a position to where I can't lose, Jack, and that way I don't lose. Okay.
That's exactly right. So they're paying down 25 grand. They're paying, you make a spread of $600 a month. So that's $7,200 a year over X years. Let's say if you keep that property if every 2 or 3 years or so, or 3, 4 years, they move and a new one comes in, then let's say over 10 years, if that happens 2 or 3 times, you've gotten $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 as a down payment, plus you're getting $70,000 in monthly payments over that time. You've made a very good income on one property. Now you can do that on an unlimited amount of deals because you're really not selling them. You're not subject also to the loan kind of rules from Dodd-Frank and all this kind of stuff, and mortgage originator license, all this kind of stuff is outside of this because you're not selling them, you're renting them with the option to purchase it down the road. Right. So I think the audience can start seeing how you can make a ton of money doing that, right?
And you didn't even mention the debt pay down and the appreciation and the depreciation that comes along with the same deal.
Exactly, because now you own the property, so you can write it off for 27 and a half years. And then while the market goes up and these tenant buyers never exercise it, if they move out and during a boom time like it was in the 2020, 21, 22 area, that house might have doubled in value right now, which now means you can do it again. Yes. Now rents have gone up substantially. Next time you don't charge $1,600, you start $2,000, $2,500 in rent, and it starts all becoming even prettier and prettier and prettier over time.
That's correct. That's exactly what happens.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you very much for explaining that.
I did. Good. You did.
Right. Well, we kind of like pulled it out of you. I just summarized it and you corrected me where I was wrong because, hey, we do land deals, right? We don't do those kind of things. And that's why Ron is on here. So you can learn another angle to real estate that is very, very profitable. So with that said, again, you go to ronlegrand.com/terms to check it out. And with that said, Ron, you want to let kind of like some finishing words or ending words that you would like to share with our audience?
No, listen, your life is what you make it, and nobody can do it for you. It really just comes down to a commitment. Find somebody that you think is where you want to go. By the way, make sure they're qualified before you go giving people money to train you, because there's so many talking heads on the internet. Do your due diligence and get on with it. I mean, if not now, when? What's going to change this time next year if you don't make something change now? And I'll be honest with you, if you can't get into the business of buying and selling houses, I don't know what business you're going to be successful in, because most of them are way harder than this one. Trust me, I've had 6 restaurants. Go buy a restaurant, then you'll know how easy our business is and how much more profitable it is as well. But it starts with you. Make a decision, get some training, get the implementation going, and next thing you know, you're the expert. Then you're doing Zoom calls with guys like Jack Bosch here, telling everybody how smart you are.
Well, you're definitely the godfather of real estate. You're one of the smartest men out there. So thank you very much for being with us. And
thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and guys, that concludes our show right now. As always, give us a 5-star review, share it with your friends, give us comments, comment below. If you're watching this on YouTube or so, hit the notification and the subscribe button. Comment below what kind of subjects you want to hear about, or if you have questions, we'll be looking out for them and answering them all. With that said, thank you very much. See you in the next show.